Okay, 2026 is coming at you.
We are here talking about the 2026 predictions for the next year across all of the categories that we write about, that I write about and that we talk about. So culture, food and bev, drugs and booze, silvers, alphas, Z's, retail, tech, sport, wellness and beauty, travel, and 5 fun for the year trends that you must hear coming soon into your ears in the very next few seconds. And there will also be a part 2 of this series where we have asked some of our favorite Substackers and writers and creators and LinkedIn people for their predictions across every category. And you'll be hearing those in the new year. So there's more to come. So hope you enjoy.
Part 2. The crystal ball is out, and enjoy.
Hey everyone, it's Chris.
And Kirsten.
Welcome to Good Thinking Weekly, the podcast where we discuss the best of the best in brands, marketing, and culture.
Thousands of people, top execs from the likes of Complex, Klaviyo, Walmart, Wall Street Journal, and LVMH tune in every single week.
We run a creative consultancy in GoodCo, so we know what it takes to build a good brand.
Subscribe on YouTube, your favorite podcast app, and Good Thinking on Substack for more.
All right, let's dive in.
Welcome to 2026 predictions. Good thinking.
You are hopefully gonna believe what we say. I'm like, you're not gonna believe what we have to say, but like, hopefully you believe what we're about to say, because I think it's gonna rock some worlds.
Yeah, there's some really important information in here, I think. And I think one of the things that I'm most excited about is the level of detail where we really get into it and really like start to paint the picture.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun. And yeah, I thought I would kind of give people a process of how I came to these predictions, like before we started off.
I'm here for a process. Great.
Yeah. So I have a very handy friend who is very good at AI, and she made me a Google notebook of all of the posts that I've written about in the last year. And so what I've done is I started to kind of do a cross-reference of like things that were emerging in these different spaces. So much what I write about is like, it's on the fringe, right? And the fringe is always kind of where like these things come from. So it's like, what are these things that are percolating on the fringe that I'm starting to see kind of like come into the mainstream? And so these predictions are supposed to be like quite, again, nothing's mainstream anymore, right? Like nothing at all. So, but I think what I do believe is that these are going to come into like the predictions last year, which I think our accuracy rate was pretty high. It's about sort of where we're growing as culture, like in culture generally. So while these are all across like, so we have culture, food and beverage, drugs and booze, silvers, alphas and Z's, retail, tech, sport, wellness and beauty, travel, and then fun for the year, which has a number of things in it.
Just wait.
They're all really reflective of culture. And so much of these, like, you know, when we get to the travel one, you'll start to see that what I'm pointing out in travel as a cultural trend, it is cross-pollinating and showing up in wellness. You know, like these aren't necessarily just like for their category. So much of these behaviors can be seen across categories. So when you're reading them or listening to them, I would encourage you to kind of think about them through the lens of whatever it is that you're working on, because I don't think that they are category specific always. Some of them. But that, even with the ones that are more specific to the category, still tell you so much about where we're going as a group.
Right. There's a lot of takeaways in all of the categories for all of the categories, really. And I think the other thing just to mention is like, yes, you used AI, your AI, your own personal AI, I'd love to know the name of it, to kind of go through for good thinking, but also then you like went through as a human and we're like,
Of course. I mean, so I never use AI to write any of the newsletters, but what I think has proven to be helpful and something that I'm thinking that we will release to a paid level of subscribers in the future is the ability to properly search, because Substack, if you've ever tried to find anything on Substack that I've written, good luck to you. I can't even find it. So one thing that it really allows you to do is to say, hey, this is where I think, you know, this is happening. And then it will allow me to kind of pull up kind of all the archives of that. And I start to say like, hey, yeah, like this is really like kind of percolating, or no, I don't really think, you know, that's not really, there's not enough evidence for that for me to include it on this list.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to dig in, but I do think one of the biggest takeaways for me is just, it's not just like, okay, here's this thing, here's this prediction, and it's kind of ethereal and it's out there and okay, we'll see how it goes. Like it's really starting to paint the picture of the world in which this prediction is coming true.
Yeah. These are super actionable predictions, I would say. Like, get ready to get used.
Yes. All
All
right.
right. The first one under culture, and we always
Yep.
start with culture,
Of
I'm
course.
calling inner world building. So, I'm predicting that culture, while we still have kind of this personal brand moment that's happening where everyone's realizing, and we talked about it on the Help podcast, that
Yep.
people are realizing that you need to have a personal brand, there's value to it, and like how you do it matters. We're going to see, almost because of that, because so many people are going to begin to have like quite present, like a more of a presence in a personal brand more than ever before. We will have kind of a private self that gains steam. So, and the private self is also about kind of reclaiming kind of like your inner, that's why I called it inner world building. Like it's about
Mm-hmm.
your intuition. It's not just privacy. It's also unshared experience, but it's also like yourself and your confidence in your own shit that you know. And I think that so much has gone on with AI in the last year, and it's been just like on a fast track, right?
Oh yes.
But I think people are realizing that they actually know more than they thought they knew, you know?
Yeah, there's an empowering aspect of AI for sure.
Yeah, or realizing that like human intuition has value. Like I think for a really long time, like the last few years, like I would call it our like performance marketing era, like intuition was completely devalued. Like it was thrown out the window as something that would be of any use to you. And now you're seeing creators like Emily Sundberg like talked about how she very much like writes like her daily letter based on intuition of what she thinks will be important to you. That's very much how I curate
Mm-hmm.
our letter every. People are like, how do you like know what to include? I don't know. I just include what I instinctually think is interesting, what
Right.
matters to me. I never ask an AI if this is going to matter to you. How the fuck would it know? So, anyway, I think that this is going to become like an even bigger thing. It's also coming out because so many people do not want the prying eyes of everybody's lens and everybody's like ability to find everything about you. Like AI allows you to find anything you want to know about somebody, right? More than ever before. And so as we kind of find the need to place boundaries, you're going to see people kind of closing in. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have called this camouflage culture. That was Matt Klein. Or Anu has called it algorithmic evasion. And those are all kind of different. And those are a little bit more about really avoiding the algorithm's view of you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is also about that human aspect, like the humanity, the intuition. The no camera zones are going to become standard practice. Group chats are going to become a valid channel, which is something that Achuko's written about. All of these things will become commonplace. Should we talk
Right.
about the pendulum swing?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I love
You got
this
some
because
questions.
no, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about it, but I love this from, from really understanding where the personal brand is. And we mentioned it and I talk about it a lot. Like, I think it's really, personal brand is very much about pushing into really digging who you are, pushing into your vulnerabilities, sharing all of that. And I think, I see this as when you're doing all of that, then you still need to keep something that's within yourself. And this
Yes, or
kind
or
of
you need a
being that.
break occasionally
Yeah.
from that. Like you're very much out there like on Cringe Mountain as I am. Tacking
Yes.
away up the Cringe Mountain
Indeed we
and
are.
sharing vulnerably and like talking a lot, and we do that. But like, and some people have better batteries at this than I do, but like I burn out after a few days of doing that and I need to kind of retreat. And I think that there's going to be more of that, and retreating not just from like, taking a break, but like really like hiding particular aspects and not posting about them and not wanting anyone else to post about them, and having these like safe zones where like, hey, we're going to have this conference and no one's going to talk about
Yeah.
what we talked about.
Right.
And we're going to completely close this off to like, we're going to have listening devices basically on us all the time in the next year. Like that will be happening. And you won't necessarily know that it's happening. Like it might be in someone's ear or their tooth or like up their nose. Like it's going to be random shit. You don't
God, I
know
hope not.
where these microphones are going to be hiding. And it sounds funny, but that's true. And that's what's happening. And now
I do
with
not
so
want
many
a
people with
micro.
the
Microphone up my nose, but okay. Yes, fair
No,
enough.
but like the glasses too, like, you know, you can be
Yeah.
wearing regular glasses and be recording people. And so there's just going to be so much more awareness around closing off.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot. I mean, I think it's things that we've seen. We talked about, you know, last year at Cannes. I think I definitely see the value and see, you know, people like that. That's really the real flex, right? Is being able to have kind of that safe space. That's
Yeah.
really where the value is. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
And
pendulum
that's
swing.
something that brands can create, I think.
Yes.
So that's something you can add value in, is creating those spaces and honoring that and like making that something that people are craving it. You know, it doesn't need to be always, but it can be often.
Right. Figure out what that is for your brand and provide that.
Yeah. For example, I wrote about it in the letter that's coming out tomorrow.
Ooh,
But
a
but
prediction
will
on
have
a prediction.
Well, will have come out by the time this one goes in here, and so it'll be on this list. But like On created a dinner for influencers and did not post about it at all. Like didn't do any content creation around it. And maybe the influencers did, but they didn't, as a brand, decide to say, hey, let me splash this and like, you know, put this everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that feels like a really big flex of thinking about being a participant there and feel like you were going because you were actually going for the experience versus you were going to be filmed for the experience. Those two feel completely different.
Yes. One is we care about you, and the other one is we're ready for you to perform for us.
100%. 100%. All right. The swing.
All right.
Can't wait.
Radical spectacles rise. So as these kind of inner worlds, like, and, you know, we have more gated stuff, I think we are also going to see kind of the bigger shared experiences. We've talked about kind of the wonderlands that Louis Vuitton is making with 10 stories of like retail and spas and like hotels
Vuitton.
and, you know, like we should talk about that one day. That's an inside joke. One day we'll talk about the inside joke. We don't have time for that today. But, you know, and I think that this is also an era of like brand coming out in a bigger way and like figuring out how you show up in a big way. And the expectations are that you are going to go big as a brand, or like just not. Like, I think there'll be quiet brands and there'll be loud brands. And like, that's going to be 2026. Like it's, you know, we're going to expect a lot.
Yeah.
Our bar is high.
Yes.
We're ready to be entertained.
Yeah. I am ready to be entertained and then have that safe space somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe with
and
that brand,
similarly,
maybe somewhere
like
else.
yeah, like I would add into that, you know, like that even the TV shows and things we've talked about as content, right, is bigger, it's better, it's more effort based, and that is a louder. In my mind, it's a louder perspective on brand and more spectacly, more like a TV show, less like just a reel and like selling you something. It's like you're really showing up and like creating something that is made for truly entertaining people.
Totally. I mean, A24 is a perfect example of the Netflix house, all the things. All right. Here for it. Food and bev.
All right. Food and bev. So I'm calling this trend biological dining.
Ooh, I like it.
Food becomes the protocol. Biology replaces diet culture. So there's been so many versions of this that are kind of popping up. And like even just today, I was reading like 10 more of them. And I have another example in the newsletter. But like mitochondria health, hormone regulation, vitamin absorption. But these aren't just awarenesses of like things that you want. You're becoming aware of them in your own food. Like I'm picking this food because it helps me to regulate my hormones. I'm picking this food because it has better vitamin absorption than other foods. This is glucose safe food. Dan Firmer wrote the new consumer post recently. And he talked about how like GLP-1 users are specifically looking for foods that are friendly to glucose, right? And I've talked about that many times. But like that we're just going to be expecting that to show up in our food. And so I think we're going to see like a lot of sciencey terms kind of come into food, like deuterium depleted, and I don't even know if that's how you say that. I should have asked Dave before this podcast.
No clue.
Hydrogen packed, you know, like a lot of like sciencey terms coming into to speak to this kind of biology interest that we now have. We're going to have like a lot of patented things come out, like low absorption this and, you know, low glucose spiking that. And like those will be positioning like and very like deliberate it will no longer be like just gluten-free, right? Like that's like,
Right. It's
so
no
yes,
longer
big
just
year.
pushing on the protein.
No. We're going to see creatine-infused milks like arrive, and I actually think they'll arrive from a big major player. Like I don't think it'll be like a niche brand like we had last year or the years before. Like I think we're going to see like a Fairlife or a, you know, whatever the other like millions of milk brands that there are in the US that I can't
Yeah.
come out and say that they have creatine in their milk, because creatine, by the way, does best in fatty things like milk.
You love creatine.
I do. Changed my life.
Yeah, this feels like,
Uh,
moving from the supplements, right, into the actual food that we eat, which makes a lot of sense.
yeah. But I think it's just like, I think we'll see like places like DoorDash. I use DoorDash as like a, replace any like food delivery brand you want here. But like we'll see them add an AI layer so that they'll get to know like any of these kind of biological things that you're sort of going after, whether that's like glucose or that you're like in a recovery state, like maybe you've had cancer and so you're like gonna try to like, or you broke your bones or whatever, like you're going to have like these kinds of things that you can filter, and it will make suggestions for meals that you could have that would be biologically like beneficial to you. I
That's it.
also saw, and this will be in the newsletter, so it'll be in here, there's a new hotel in Kerala in India. It's like a whole dining plan around your genetics. Like it will be like you're going to have all your genes tested, and then you go and like while you're there, you would have food like made particularly for your genes.
So a trip to India?
I mean, that's what I said in the newsletter. Like I was
Obviously.
like, sign me up. I'm
Obviously,
there.
obviously we're going.
All right.
Yeah, so moving from kind of where we were, I remember like after the food show and all of the protein everything and
Mm-hmm.
glucose free this and all of that, like really getting to it feels like the next layer of it. Like we're really digging deep in the scientific parts and pieces, which is why I'm thinking about as you're talking about like all of the supplements that I take that do all of those things, right?
Yeah, and
Now
I
in
think we
actual food.
previously had like more biohackers kind of getting to this level, but this will be mainstream. Like this is like my dad will be like, interested in this, which
All right, Mark.
yeah.
All right. The
Mark's actually
swing.
quite into his diet.
He's,
All
I
right,
mean, killing it.
ahead of his time. All right, so pendulum swing, I'm calling entertainment bites into food. So we've seen a lot of this come out. And again, lore was big last year and will continue to be big this year. But
Oh,
I really
lore.
see it happening a lot in these like food spaces where, character IP for restaurants and like cinematic universes for food and brand mythology will become like a big brand building tool. Like it's all related to alphas ultimately, like maybe more fast food than like, or like faster food than like, your fancy restaurants. But even that, like, it's still like an entertainment like aspect, but it won't be like quite as kitschy as maybe the mainstream will be. But like
Right, right.
Chili's will have a character.
Can't wait. So, right. So being less about the actual food that you're ingesting, but more about the experience and the entertainment of that experience.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is kind of the opposite, right? Of the other one. It's like you care so
For
much about
sure.
what you're ingesting, and then here
For
you
sure.
like couldn't matter less what you're serving so long as the story is good.
Right, right. Which, having two alphas, like that's 100% tracks.
I know. I do get these insights from real world.
Yeah. Oh, I know you do. Yeah. Hudson's first in line. All right.
All right,
Drugs and
drugs and
booze.
booze. This one I think is really interesting, something we talked about with Jasmine Bina when she came on,
Mm-hmm.
but about the idea that we're rebranding drugs as a productivity and recovery tools. So the stigma is kind of going away from them, and we're really shifting from kind of like, oh, these are about escapism to really like this is like an enhancement and a well-being tool. So we're seeing psychedelics like reframed as like longevity tools. We're seeing ketamine become like a true ADHD aid or like helping you get over some traumas. We've already seen Texas fund ibogaine, but like
Mm-hmm.
we know even from South by in London, like there's a lot of interest around that. People are traveling to Mexico kind of on the daily basis now
Mm-hmm.
to try it particularly for PTSD, but like a lot of other things. Seeing a lot of clean nicotine coming in and sort of becoming like a productivity tool, not just kind of like a pick me up.
Mm. Right.
And could see that easily, like, like we used to see Monster in the office, like clean nicotine.
Gosh. Right.
I know, but I think it's going to happen. And then synthetic GABA, like getting more energy. Like, again, that's kind of on the fringe, but I think we'll start to hear more.
Right, right. I mean, I think my feeds I know are certainly full of this, right? It feels like the science.
You're on the fringe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But it feels like truly the science is there, right? We're hearing it from the science, and then you're hearing more experiences to be like, oh, well, that person did it and had this experience. You know, you're kind of having
Right.
that exposure.
And they didn't become a drug addict.
Right. In fact, they were cured for something.
Right. And then, the pendulum swing is that we're like actually vices and like just having fun and like, a glass of wine's not going to kill you. One late night's not going to be too bad. Like a cheeky cigarette here is like no longer going to get you canceled. Like moderation, like, so whereas like I would say 2024, we were like, everybody needs to become sober. 2025 was like, maybe we talk about cigarettes, like, and again, not a smoker, not like, promoting cigarettes in here. That like always really gets the crowds going. But like just commenting on what's going on. Like I saw a famous Substacker, I won't name her but she posted it on her stories or her feed. So it's there for everyone to see. But like, like her, like at Fashion Week, like just having a cigarette, and she's not like probably smoking all the time. So it's just more extreme moderation. Like I think we're just more comfortable. And this plays into the wellness anarchist, which we'll mention a little bit later. But it's like you can be a runner and still have a beer. You can, be a yogi and still drink wine. And we're like kind of realizing that like maybe that kind of acceptance of moderation is fine.
Right. Right. I mean, I think when we were talking about this, you had a great point as far as, however many years ago, if you had anything about smoking on your feed, like you would be canceled. Like it would be.
You would
kind
be
of
like
over.
completely over.
So, and I think that's totally true, right? I think that's real.
Yeah.
And just kind of allowing for that. Okay. So kind of the takeaway for brands within this.
Well, I mean, I would say venture capitalism should be looking at drugs.
Yeah. Psychedelics for sure. If you are, yes. 1,000%.
So, and I would say, like, to be honest, also, like, so Dr. Squatch, like, had, like, a comedian come on and talked about kind of his journey stuff that he's done, and ayahuasca, and, like, just realized that, like, the world has, the culture perception around these drugs has shifted. So, like, if you, like, I would say either, like, don't, like, kind of go, like, all in on, like, drugs are bad, or just like, if it's not interesting to you, stay away from it. But I do think from a venture perspective, that's probably the most like interesting.
Right. And it's probably going to trickle down to other things as well, knowing that this was something that used to be so extreme and no. And now it's like, well, actually, there's great healing properties in it that are scientifically proven and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And then in the pendulum swing, I would say, like, again, we saw some brands last year, like, put out ashtrays or, like, giveaway ashtrays or giveaway lighters. And, like, these things are not going to be ill-received. I would also say get ready for some people partying at your parties, which will be maybe nice. But, we've heard some rumors that there's a few, like, ketamine-like moments happening for some big brands. So be ready. But no. I think it's just, I saw there's a new brand called Sucker, which is like a popsicle or like a chupa chup that we have here in
Yep. I think we call them lollipops.
Right, lollipops. But like these were electrolyte ones. And so 2 years ago, if you had electrolyte lollipop, it would be like, oh, that's for a runner, right? No. They're posting pictures of people partying and saying like, this is like a midnight, like have your electrolytes while you're on the dance floor, like lollipop. And so I think there's just, again, more room and more acceptance that like you can play here as a brand and that there is actually appetite for it as much as everyone said there wasn't.
Right. I mean, yes. Yeah. I mean, Sailor does have a lollipop for concentration, so there's that. But I think, like, I love moderation in a more extreme way. I think it totally encapsulates it.
All right. Should we move on to silvers?
Silvers, your favorite topic?
My favorite. I love them so.
I know you do.
All right. So I'm calling this post demo, and it's the idea, one that we've discussed many, many times, that age and stage is no longer going to be something that we map to behavior. So brand books need to throw out the age demo. Like that is a laughable situation at this point. And you really have to focus on mindsets and not age. So like not the data of the age, but just the mindset. Like you can have like literally name anything, longevity, hierarchs, sushi, da-da. Like, you got everything, and you're going to have somebody who's on it. And I think that's true even for alphas. Like, alphas are becoming much more sophisticated. So, like, they're now, like, ordering, like, sushi connoisseurs and, like, running, like, shows, like, clipping them together like showrunners. And then we have silvers who are literally, like, hierarch stars or who are gaming and turning retirement into a sport. Like, my parents are just like, off. I'm like, where
Yes,
are
they are.
you? And then similarly, I think, we're going to see millennials and young Gen X. And this is like a little bit like, maybe people are not going to love to hear this, but like, I think that as these job cuts come and people are going to reframe their careers, much like during COVID, we're going to see people kind of like opting into part-time retirement or part-time work or doing work in a completely different way as they begin to kind of figure out like, hey, do I really want to re-enter that world? Like, maybe I'm going to revisit, like, and I think we'll maybe see people who kind of enter early retirement, maybe they come out of retirement different times, but like all of these things that you used to think of as like these life stages are just out of the window, like completely gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of, like, if you take nothing else out of this podcast, take this. Like, I think it's like, make sure that, you really, people really need to understand, no, the age and stage, like, is over. And I think what you're talking about as far as a Gen X, like, early retirement, I don't know about that. Like, you know,
But again,
but I
retirement has
do
been
think,
completely reframed.
well, completely. And I think there's been so many articles that I'm fascinated by, and I think it's absolutely happening. But I like think about fractional work, right? Like,
Yeah.
how many times have you heard that word in the past, 6 months? It's absolutely being reframed, and it's completely different for so many reasons. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So I think if there's one thing to take away, it's really, there's so much to dig into in this, but I think it's really, really super relevant for brands to
Yeah.
really clearly, have a takeaway.
Yeah. I do have one very niche one on here that I think that senior, like elder sports are going to become a thing too. Like mixed age teams, like older players and younger players, and like seeing different formats that are based on strategy more than like, sort of like dexterity. And I think that we're going to see those come out. Like they have that in golf already, but like it's kind of like dowdy. And I think that now we're seeing like there's just more energy for like more mixed formats and like just kind of more like different things. And so I think that in sport and wellness tend to be the places for me that things like really start to emerge. And so I predict that it will happen. It's already happening in wellness. We're already seeing like everybody like photographing everybody who's older and like doing very well, like Pamela Anderson, Refi had their campaign. But I
Joan.
think sport is like the new next frontier for like where we see this happening.
I love this. Love this. And the swing?
All right. And the swing, I think, is that, we're going to see aging as assisted, but not an assisted living center. So think like exoskeletons are going to replace canes. Like now when you go to China to some of the hikes, you can literally like rent an exoskeleton if you think that the hike is going to be too hard for you. Like it's that easy to do now. So I think that we'll start to see people sort of say like, hey, you know what? Like if that's gonna like not damage my knees and I can like have an extra like 10 years, 20 years on my knees, like I'm gonna wear an exoskeleton pant. Like and they look like literal like metal. Like
Yeah,
it's
you want to
not crazy
explain a little bit like
robots.
what that is?
Yeah, I mean, well, like Arc'teryx made some, but like, there's all sorts of different ones, like some that look a little bit more like true, like robot apparatus, but like Arc'teryx made a pair that like looks like a pair of pants and it literally has like just like an assisted knee in it. And it's like to sort of brace and hold you. And that's just one example of like, I truly believe like we're starting to see this super fast. Like there's now AI lenses for vision. So like bifocals are becoming a thing of the past, right? Like it's just like the AI like knows where you're looking and it's doing like all of these crazy things. There's now augmented hearing aids that are able to like that are also using AI that are allowing hearing aids are like notoriously terrible. Like everybody hates using them. They're pretty ineffective, but you need them, right? And so we're just going to start having like much more sophisticated assistants. I think we'll see that come into the home and we'll see like more like you'll see and robots is a conversation that we're going to have in a little bit,
Yes.
but like robots will come into the home like for sure. I also think we're going to have more remote healthcare than ever before. So like if you were to like go and like your mom like had like knee surgery, she would
She did.
probably go right, but she would go home immediately, even if she didn't like she could have stayed previously in the hospital because she can
Yeah.
just monitor herself from there. She does not need to be like in these institutions. And they don't want her there. That
Right.
too.
Right. Well, I'm here for this as I'm aging. Yes. Exoskeletons and all. Bring it.
I know. You'll be the first one. You'll
For
be like
sure.
you're like, but like, did it come in a skinny jean?
Here for it.
Don't like the hiking pants, but you know, that will be
Yeah.
2027.
Can't wait.
All right. Alphas and
Alphas.
Z's. Yeah. So alphas, I have in here the alpha agency is going to boom, right? We've talked about this again like
Mm-hmm.
so many times. Like kids are
Yep.
no longer passive consumers. They're really true co-authors in their homes. They have massive influence at home, but also in culture. And they have a level of participation expectation that we as a like generation, even Z is like, I would say, don't have the expectation of participation that these kids have. They
100%.
really are expecting you to like allow them in to your worlds. So we'll see tweens like driving family viewing, but also massive purchases like cars, home tech, like everything will have to appeal across a co-generational range
Mm-hmm.
from silvers to like not toddlers, but like, you know, young kids. Participation expectations and tools explode. Like alphas assume, and like, so it's so interesting. Today it was announced that Disney did this big deal with OpenAI for the rights to Mickey Mouse, Cinderella, like various bits of IP to allow Sora to make things. To be honest, like they have no choice. Like this is gonna like kids expect to be able to make their own versions of the shows and like remix things and like and then, you know, adults expect to be able to make memes. Like, but
100%.
there's
Yes.
that.
That's it. That's exactly that's the explanation. That's all that you need to know. And it's true.
Yes. Again, if you've learned nothing else, let that be. But like, I also think that it's, you know, like there's more agency over again. They're relating back to the inner worlds. Like, so in Australia, you know, they banned social media there, and already kids are like forming community. Well, but like, guess what? Like, kids are really fucking smart, and they're already forming like communities inside of like. They've hacked Google Sheets and have like found ways to communicate like inside of Google Chat. Like the more you block children from doing things, generally speaking, I think, the more you lose the ability to control what they're actually seeing. These children can get on the dark web if they want to. So just watch out, like be careful what you wish for type of thing. The genie, once the bottle of the genie is closed,
Genie's out of
like
the bottle. Yeah.
but then it's like it's over there in a different bottle, and like you don't know where the bottle is, so that's even worse.
Right.
And then there
It's on
will
the dark
also
web.
be like, yeah, like to that kind of you know, showrunner thing that I was talking about, like kids and parents will remix like their own versions of shows. So there will be so much expectation around like, well, like my child is interested in math and crafting. So I would like a YouTube channel that like puts crafting together with math. And like, this is like the show that will be created. Or it'll be like, you know, my daughter really likes get ready with me videos, but she has to study for this exam. So like we're going to have somebody do it in the format of a get ready video, but it's going to be about, you know, her science test. Like this will be everywhere, like custom created content for better or for worse.
Right. Right. Well, I think this makes, I mean, it really is rooted in the expectation though. I think it's both from a parent and the kid. Like we didn't have that. You didn't have that. Like it's a completely different world. And I think also on this, there's so many takeaways for brands, you know, to really understand who's driving purchase decisions or at least also impacting them that they maybe didn't think about before.
Well, I think you used to think about like the, you know, midlife crisis or like late life crisis car, right?
Tell
And
me
like
more.
that was, well, okay. So I'll like, maybe I've explained this example, but I think to me, it's like the most like indicative example that I can think of is used to be that you would hit 60, you buy yourself a sports car and it has no seats in the back and just has space for golf clubs, you know, like that was like sort of the requirements. Now it's like no, but I need like seats in the back because my kid likes to come golfing with me. Like my grandchild likes to come golfing with me. I also need it to be like, pink because like, my daughter likes to drive it and she only drives pink cars. Like it will be like so
Yeah.
many, like that's just how decisions are being made right now with families. Like it's just not like a very personal, ego-driven buying culture at the moment. Like you're having to buy to fit like the group. And
Totally.
parents
And I
really
think,
care.
yeah, I think that's a great example. And I have definitely threatened to get like vintage Porsche. And my kids are like, but it only has 2 seats. And I'm like, I know, but it only has 2 seats.
Right.
And I think that's a perfect example. And I think what's happening is it's not like, it's the direction, the way that things are going. Like, it's not apologetic. It's not like, oh, sorry, we have to do this. It's just like the way that things are moving, and nobody thinks it's a bad decision, wrong decision. And it's quite collaborative, but they are informing a huge part of, and a part of that, which I think is empowering.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So
Swing?
then the swing, I mentioned this a little bit, but like this is really the big swing is like it's not just like coming off of offline. It's really about like digital hermit, like removing, and about presence and quiet analog real-time experiences rising. So seeing a lot, I've written about it a lot, like golfing. I don't know how many times we're going to mention golf on this, but like
Let's mention, I mean,
golfing for
suddenly we're a golfing family.
Well, golfing for kids is like, it's really growing very, very fast. Like, and a lot of slower kind of like the movies are coming back, like kids going to the movies. I
Totally.
see so much around chess. Like, so many of my
Mhm.
friends, like kids are into chess, and they're not doing it because they want to do it in a performative way, which I think was maybe like what we were seeing couple years ago, where it'd be like, oh, I want to play golf so I can like post about this golf course, and then they don't actually continue to play golf. Like, no, these kids are really investing in these like slower, chiller formats of existence. And so I think we're going to see like kind of self-directed hermitdom. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm always like, once they're off the course, they got their TikTok and they're like doing that. But like, it's these all things like live inside of the same human, if that makes sense.
Right. 100%. This 100% tracks, because I think it is, like they grew up in this performative culture, and then this is almost the relief to it. Whereas the previous generations, I think, are the opposite. But, my son now loves to play solitaire. Didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming.
Like the kind with the marbles, or like just the
No,
solitaire
the
on like with
cards.
the cards?
The cards. But every morning now, because my car has like games, every morning now when I drop him off, we have 20 minutes and we play solitaire together. And it's
I
great.
do love I mean, solitaire is meditative.
It's
Let's bring
very
back
meditative.
the mining one, like the mine, where you had to press the mines. Do you remember that one? The
Nope. But
other
maybe,
like very analog game. It's not
yep.
Minecraft.
Maybe we'll come out with a good thinking version. Just
Or
putting it out there.
we'll come out with
If we think of it.
every podcast needs to have these are the words that Chris forgot during the podcast. I have really bad name recall.
Yeah. That'll be the
It's
game.
It's a condition. AI is definitely going to be in my favor in that. And when I have an AI in my
Right. When you have that up your nose. Great.
yeah.
Can't wait.
All right. Let's get into retail because this
Yes,
pod's getting a
please.
little long. All right. So I'm calling this full split. And the reason that I'm calling it full split is because there's kind of like a pendulum swing within this particular trend. It's like these two things coming together, and they're coming together and they're kind of clashing, but they're also happening simultaneously inside of the same person, inside of the same brands. Like it's so like all mixed up together. And so the two extremes are, we have like effortless automation and the expectation of effortless automation. And then we have intentional effort and expecting you to like make more effort in general. So we have like AI kind of handling like these like instant transactions, or like kind of the negotiations, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then we have physical retail, which is like swinging towards wonder and immersion, but also old school brand building, but also the expectation that like you get in the details right.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
examples, should I get into
Okay.
them? Or you want to
Yeah. I
talk
mean,
about
I
it
just
yours?
think this is so powerful in so many ways, and I can get super meta in this as far as how
I bet you can.
it's kind of the pendulum swing in and of itself, but I think it's really real. I think it's where we are going with things of like, it all makes total sense. I want to check out really
Mhm.
quickly, and I want to have those things like be seamless, but I also I want to have the expectation of an experience.
I know. Yeah, exactly. And we all have that, and that's what I
Yep.
think is so interesting.
Yep.
So, like,
Right on.
I was recently talking to somebody about car dealerships, and like they were saying that, like, they were using an AI agent, so not just an AI, but like agents, to multiple agents actually, to go and buy one car. And so their agent was like going and talking to the dealers and like negotiating this entire purchasing process without them ever saying anything, ever having to do
Fascinating.
the icky part of like the negotiation that everybody hates, right? And ultimately, that will, like, right now, interaction was happening with some human being at the dealership who's like replying to these emails with the agent, right? But like the agent's been given parameters and like told to get to kind of the price that they want, or to like, keep negotiating to the best rates. Ultimately, that's going to happen also with the dealer's agent, right? Like the dealer will have an agent. You will have an agent, and they are
Right.
just talking to one another. And like these two human beings, their job is completely different. You as a consumer are there to like decide what brand you want your agent to go after. And that's the thing, is that like there's this whole prior piece of this interaction that means that you have to figure out what brand it is that you want, right? You're not like just going to be like, "Hey agent, like go and pick a car for me." Like you might ask AI for some advice, but you probably still want to go test drive it, see the interiors, touch the
Hmm.
leather, like do the thing, see how it accelerates on all of those good things you
100%.
care about when you're picking a car, and then like have all the icky part done by your agent. And I think that that is very much like, that's not future. That's happening now, but it will happen more and more. We're also going to see LLMs getting ads. I mean, OpenAI has announced that, so that's coming. Like all advertising, we are really good at ignoring it. There is a group of us who is not, like with you and my brother, but the rest of us are incredibly well versed at ignoring advertising.
Read sucker.
Yes. And so brand building becomes like more paramount, right? As we like begin again with like the rise of agents, like it's like, how are you going to convince somebody to pick the Subaru versus the this,
Yeah, and I think that's like a huge, like, hang on, like, that's a huge takeaway and really understanding, and more as this is coming, like, brand building has never been more paramount and will continue to be. Like, I think that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah. So, and then we have like luxury going like full experiential, right? We've got planes, trains, boats, hotels. But like at the same time, like you will like be walking into the store, you're going to know the resale value of your bag before you buy the bag. So you're going to be doing both of those things. Like you're sort of like going to be spending all your money on a boat that like has a brand name on the side of it. And then you're also going to be checking that the resale value of your jewelry is like gonna live up to your expectations. We're gonna have spas reach new heights. Like
Can't wait.
every brand is getting a spa this year. Where you get a
Spot for
spa
you, a
and
spot for
you
you, a
get
spot for you.
yeah. Yeah. But we're already seeing obviously AI booking the treatments, but I think what will happen is that we're going to see AI tailoring the treatments and making recommendations based on your thing. Like you'll be like, I like this, I'm feeling that, da 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 da. And it'll be like, you know what? Let us make you an Aman special. Like, and this is going to be the Christina experience. This will be your 4-hour da 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 da, and it's going to like solve all my problems.
Sign me up.
I don't know. And then we are also going to see vintage like thriving. It's going to be a counter to like AI slop and tariff like measures. But it's also going to be interesting because so much of what's happening with tariff is not just money, but its quality is going down. Like people using thinner fabrics, this and that. And like there's only so much tolerance that consumers have for it. Truly. Like there's a point at which you're like, these H&M pants are not worth $8. And that's a low bar. And we've reached it. Like we have reached it.
Yeah,
And
see
brands
through
I think are
pajamas.
going to yeah, if you can see your hand through the fabric, it's not right. But like, I think that I do think that we're going to see more and more brands realize that like the cost cutting measures aren't really like adding up now. Like it's like, we cut these corners, But now, like, again, intentional effort, like the expectations of your money and the expectations of your time are very high.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're smarter than ever. So we like can ask like when I bought some pajamas for my daughter from H&M and they were terrible. And so I literally went and I asked ChatGPT to tell me on the reviews who had the most affordable cheap pajamas for Christmas. I was like, don't have Hannah Anderson like here. So like the best of the best is not available. So like I just need something to get me through Christmas. Like,
Right.
you know.
Where they're not see-through.
Yeah. But I mean, those things we're not going to keep her warm. But like, it's, that's the thing. I'm empowered, right? I can ask it to
Yep.
scan 400 reviews. I don't
Mhm.
have to spend my time doing that. Like, it's there. It's mine. I can do it
Yep.
anytime I like.
Great. I love this for you.
I'm not very into fast fashion, but when it comes to Christmas pajamas, I can
Yeah.
lower my
But I
bar.
mean, the vintage, which I'm here for, but I'm seeing that everywhere, and it makes so much sense. Like, the
Well, I buy a
integrity
lot of
of
vintage. Yeah.
it.
I buy a lot of vintage clothes for Harriet, and truly, like they're better quality. Many of them
Oh,
are much, much better.
1,000%. Of course they are, because what we used to make is, I don't think anybody questions that. All right, let's get to the swing.
Invite only aisles replace like public browsing. Like again, it's a walling off, a walled garden situation. Have like anti-algorithm, like we'll have websites that are deliberately not listing themselves for public consumption. Like they don't want to be found by AI. We'll have like friend vetted invite only groups for buying things. We're already seeing like retailers come up with memberships now, like that if you want to buy from them, you have to be a member. So this comes into the friction thing. Like we're craving a little bit of friction. And so brands are realizing that and providing it. But it also comes down to not every purchase feels great when it's like just done through an intermediary in like chat.
Yep, makes total sense.
Well, I mean, no surprise, there's a lot of AI mentions in here. So I see, and we've talked about trust. We've talked about the
Yeah.
trust economy.
Oh, yes.
But like trust is going to, I think, be one of the biggest conversations of 2026 for so many reasons. And I really think this is going to have a massive impact on the influencer community. And I'll talk about that in a second. But so basically, like the content, like AI generated content now is out there. It's regularly out there. You're sending it to me, and like some of the things I can tell immediately. And some of it I really can't. And you really can't tell anymore that something is AI generated. And there's no amount, like, I do think we're going to see like human made and like, like the organic stamp of like food coming in and like people kind of petitioning for that. But similar, like, the forebearers of organic, like, did nothing for, like, whether or not you believed that it was organic. Like, when you're at Stop and Shop, like, your belief in organic is different than when you're at Whole Foods.
100%.
So context matters. But, like, so we're going to see, obviously, brands starting to use AI creators. Like, when you see how expensive, we get bids all the time from creators and they're like, here, it's $7K for a reel. Can you blame a tiny brand for wanting to create a fake influencer when you're charging $7K? Like, I'm not blaming the influencers for, making their bag, like, happy for them. But there's a lot of people who just can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see that kind of happen, but you're also going to see a new era of like character IP come out of that. So like the Jake from State Farm guy will probably be an AI generated person versus an actor, in the next year.
Right.
We're going to see influencers outsource themselves as clones, like to themselves, like clone themselves and digital twins so that they can take a break. I mean, so many of these influencers are literally like making like 5 to 6 posts a day. But because of that, we might see, and I really think this could happen, and I know that a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I've said a lot of crazy things in my life that have come true. So I'm just going to go with this.
Great.
I think that we could see the influencer era as we know it today, like where you're really like paying a lot of influencers for posts to like promote your brand, completely collapse under the weight of fakery. Because if you don't know that even the person that you think you've trusted for 20 years and you're like, oh, or 10 years or whatever that you were like, oh, like I love that girl. But then, you know, like the influencer that I like to post travel content and then she made a fake version of herself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see a fake version of Puglia. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you were upset.
And
I get it.
yeah, it does.
Yeah,
And everyone was upset. Like the comment
I get
section
it.
was livid. I mean, the comment section is livid when McDonald's makes an AI generated Christmas ad. So let alone like a brand like taking a real person that people
Mm-hmm.
really trust and then and that person turns out to be a fake version of themselves because they're too busy to post about it. It's just, you can just see it now. Like
Yeah.
the murkiness of the whole situation is
Mm-hmm.
just like so gross. So get ready because I think it will change the
Yeah.
game. I don't know, you know, with these predictions, I'm not always going to say how the game is going to look on the other side. I just see this tsunami coming
Yeah.
and I don't know what the wave behind it will be. Could be
Well,
something
that'll
else.
be the 2027 predictions. But I think
Yeah.
to me, this is like, you know, we talk about this a lot. I like think about this a lot. Like trust in general with everything that's happening culturally, AI, robots, all of the things I think is so important. And going to be, you know, what I was telling you that I think that Waymo should have. I think all AI companies should have a position that are just like, I'm head of humanity and I'm thinking about ways to like bring humanness into a Waymo. Like, what is the experience that I can make more kind of have cultural context to be more human? And I think that's going to be really, really important. And what I really like about this is that everybody, like a lot of people have been talking about trust. We've been talking about for a while, but the explanation of this, you start to see, oh, okay, well, this is actually how it's going to happen, why it's going to happen. Yeah, I don't want AI creators. I'm not going to like sign up for that, watch that, you know, follow that if that's happening. And you start to see how it's actually going to happen, you know, and come to life versus kind of just this big, you know, ethereal, like, well, it's trust collapse. Okay, what does that actually mean? So yeah, I
Right.
see this happening for sure. And yikes. All right, the swing.
The swing is that we still have influencers. I really don't see. So while I'm saying that like the influencer industry as we know it today is going to collapse, I'm not saying that influencers are going or influence is going away. I think they're just going to like emerge in different places in different ways. And one of those I think will be like intimacy. So that's like IRL, face to face, local communities, real experts, small groups, like and not always all real life. Like this will be also small groups on group chat, like that we talked about, that will be filtering for bots. So it's a disconnection from sort of, or like an intimacy. And actually, I saw somebody talk about it today. I think it was the head of social at Glossier was saying that, like, you know, they're seeing like intimate, they were even equating like the shows that they have as like intimate, like feeling
Mm-hmm.
of like you want to feel closer to a brand. You don't want to just like be sold to.
Yeah.
And so this will kind of come out in a different way. So I think we're going to see a lot more like one-on-one interaction, and we'll be able to enable it with AI, like a feeling of one-on-one interaction with a brand, even if it's through the lens of like with digital, but like that there will be a closeness.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm certainly seeing and experiencing community has never been more important.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a big part of our help episode, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a human need. It's a basic human need. So,
It is.
and clearly we're not getting it with tech. So sport.
All right. You know, so it was interesting. You asked me if we should swap these around because the pendulum swings felt smaller, like bigger to you than the other. But like I made the point that this is where advertising dollars are going in my mind. I'm planting my flag here. So I'm talking about amateur glory. The amateur sports become the main event, like creator leagues, street tournaments, like amateur leagues, like use the word leagues too many times, I think. Gotta edit that.
The League of
Um,
Leagues.
the League of Leagues. But like that's where entertainment is kind of going in terms of sport. Like there are kids groups who are like, you know, like these kids like, you know, playing football and they're getting millions of views for like scoring goals on like a school pitch in the middle of nowhere, England. Like
Yeah.
it's, and they're globally like famous.
Yeah.
And these people, groups and teams are where the advertising dollars are going to go. And I think we're going to see some major, like huge money going to these tiny things. Like, whereas like it's going to all be like, so we have Netflix basically buying up all the sports franchises, right? So we're going to have Netflix. Is Netflix going to be your option? You're going to have traditional sports, and then you're going to have this.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely watched several baseball videos that Hudson's shown me on like who knows where in the middle of who knows what that is like getting a ton of views, and he's fascinated by it. So
Yeah,
yes.
and it's not just like one-off virality though, you know, like it's like for a
Oh, yeah.
while it was that, but like now these are like people that you tune into week after
Mhm.
week after week to see them play. Like it's not just like, oh, this is like, you know, I've been watching this golf thing. Like I don't know why I got so much golf on my feed. It's probably Hudson.
It's you're welcome.
Yeah, but like these guys who are like gives me nightmares. They like hitting balls out of like hotel windows and they're trying to get it into like extreme places and stuff like that. But like these guys are now like have a TV show where that's literally all they do. They do these trick shots from like fucking crazy ass places. It's not just a one-off video, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
So we're
I'm here
going to
for that.
see like peer leagues. We're going to see in the fan festival thing, like the proximity to players and like the proximity now to these amateurs, right? So like it used to be that you want to see like Shaq or like LeBron or whatever. And like now it's like, I want to see Joe Schmo from England, like
Mhm.
pitch person. Like that's who I want to see close up. And we're going to have an expectation for that, or kids will have an expectation for that. And we're also going to see a lot of like amateur remixing. So like one of the things that's interesting about these leagues that like other sports leagues will have to figure out is that they like put their content up for like, here's every clip. Here is like a library of clips. Here is the best clips. And then kids are in there like remixing the best of and like creating show reels and like, you know, like doing crazy things where the goal looks like it's coming from someone's foot. That's like, you know, so it's just like the expectations are very, very different, and it will change how regular sport is viewed too.
Right, right. Yes, this is clearly already happening because it is in my house. But what I'm most excited for is really the pendulum swing.
Yes, well, this is because it's mostly you. So recovery becomes a serious sport. I think this, again, these two are already happening. I just don't think that mainstream brands are as aware of how big this is. So, like,
For
that's
sure.
why I put them here. But, like, social saunas, I know that there's like a bathing festival coming soon, you know, and
Sign me
I've
up.
already, yes, no workout full recovery gyms, which we went to in London, like everywhere now, like hyperbaric chamber on like, you know, left, right. It's like as popular as a manicure. It's true though.
It's
Brain mas-
100% true. Manicure
brain
in
ma-
a hyperbaric chamber, that may be 2027.
that sounds like a quick way to explode yourself. But brain massages are a thing now. Like we'll have like, and then also like the whole like wearable recovery situation continues to boom. Longevity is for sure a massive trend, and has been a trend that we've been talking about and will be a trend. And this particular pendulum swing is for many people related to that trend.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I mean, there's literally a place that pops up weekly. I get an email, a text, something of like, here's a new recovery something you want to try. That's around in Venice and in LA, and it's happening
Yeah.
quick.
But like Brian Johnson like recently put out like his posts around like what sauna has done for him. And like he, you know, believe what you will, but like, you know, he really thinks that's the one thing that has done the most for his longevity scores. Not great for his sperm motility. So he mentions that.
Huh?
You know.
Yeah. All right. Noted. I gotta get
Maybe
into
if
this.
you're 60 you don't care about your sperm motility.
Right.
Maybe you do.
All
He's
right,
got
let's
some
get to
advice on it.
wellness.
All right.
I'm sure he's got advice on a lot.
All right. So under wellness, I know this is world's longest podcast. So we're almost there. Everyone stay with us now. We have everyday intervention. So we used to have self-care and now we have self-intervention. And I would put that under, like, I would also put in there self-diagnosis as a big driver to this intervention. So you're self-diagnosing and then you're self-intervening in your own healthcare. Like that is wellness now. So we have people like really viewing their bodies as like something that they can tune, upgrade, and augment by themselves. So like this used to be like biohackers doing this and like talking about it on Reddit. And now it's like, no, that's super commonplace. And everything that you thought was extreme is now basic. So we're going to see peptides on every corner, not just whispers. I literally this month have had 5 people reach out to me about peptides. We're going to have NAD plus everywhere, but like injectables become the only viable format because people learn more about it. Full body scans, biomarkers, and blood work become as commonplace as aspirin. Already today, like I read this survey, it said 23% of people would be willing to get weekly blood tests if it would ensure that they were going to live longer. That's a small amount of people, I think. Like, I think, but like, that's the beginning. Like, it's just like, you used to say blood test to people and people would be like, oh no, you don't take my blood. We're not there anymore.
Right.
Thank you,
Right. Yeah.
GLP-1s.
Yeah.
Brain health becomes like a daily score that people are tracking, and then apps help people taper off meds as they take their health into their own hands.
Yes. I have nothing to add. This is all 100% accurate. I can
And
attest.
yes. Okay. And then the pendulum swing is that we see the rise of the wellness anarchists, which we've talked about many times, but like, and is very related to kind of the trend under drugs, but like seeing this as like the rejection of rigid protocols and like less is more. And that's coming in not just in wellness, but in parenting, under parenting, you know, as a counter swing to tiger momming, valuing silence, pause, boredom becoming like a big thing that people are trying to go after. We'll have like the biggest flex will be like the run you don't track, you know, like the unlogged experiences. So it's very related also to inner world building. And then there's like a side of like fuck around and find out. Like, whatever. Like, let's see what happens. Maybe it'll be okay. You know, maybe I'll do like, you know, go do shrooms and go for a run. See what happens.
Right. Sounds terrible. And the big takeaway for brand as far as, you know, really I think self-intervention.
Well, self-intervention is so obvious. Like, there's so much room for that. And self-diagnosis and thinking about like, there's obviously so much AI happening, but then like self-treatment and like changing the whole healthcare like standards, like the access that we expect. You're already seeing it with like hormone health and like so many people like choosing different doctors. Like, you used to have a doctor that did everything for you, right? Like, it was your doctor. And now you have a doctor who does your hormones. You have a doctor who does this. You have a doctor who does that. And they're all hand cherry picked to align with your beliefs around wellness and like aren't going to push you towards anything that you want. So we could easily put Maha like stuff in here, but it's not really necessary because it's so much. Maha is an example of a wider group of things that it's a movement towards agency. And we're going to have a bigger podcast about that in a second in the new year. But like, it's so much around that.
Yep. Okay. Travel.
Potency on demand. And we've talked about potency a lot, but it's really showing up in travel. It's showing up in everywhere. You can cherry pick your category here. I can find you examples. But we're seeing like an intensity dose in travel. Like, the expectation of what you're going to get is very, very high, right? And so these are high effort, but also the on-demand part is that, again, similar to kind of the full split of retail, there's a no effort like layer to this expectation. So you have extreme rituals, experimental treatments, but you want it without any hassle at all. Like, you're going to have your agent do a lot of these things. So you're going to have like extreme retreats go mainstream. We're going to see bridesmaids like booking them into darkness wellness like retreats, like instead of going to like Palm Springs. Like, you're going to be like, hey guys, like, let's not go talk to one another for like 3 days. I swear to God, this is coming. We're going to have biohacked expeditions. And this is again happening already, like where people are taking like different kinds of gases in order to be able to go up Everest, like in a shorter period of time. I think we're going to see more of that happening where people want to have kind of like these extreme experiences in water and in other things, and they need kind of like enhancement in order to be able to do it safely, quickly, in the time allotted. And they can't just become like professional, like mountaineer that takes 3 months off. Like, you know, that's not going to happen. We're going to see medical treatment and cosmetic tourism accelerate. I actually think that a new Korea will emerge because Korea is like got everyone's attention. And I think it could arrive stateside is like my like possible belief because of how Maha interests and like people wanting to like, so in certain states in the US now we have like right to choose, and like you have to right to tell your doctor what you want and like to pick the doctors that you want. And also to choose drugs that aren't available, FDA approved drugs, like the right to try. And so I think that we're going to see maybe like a destination in the US arise as a place to like go and try all of these kind of experimental treatments.
Well, I'm into everything but the bridesmaid into the darkness.
Yeah. We're going to see temperament tourism, prescribed well-being. We're also going to see like, bigger and better and more maximalist hotels. And then we're going to see, and like over the top of, or underneath, I would say, all of this is like an AI concierge level,
Right.
frictionless experience.
For sure. For sure. And the pendulum swing?
Zero intensity. I mean, again, we're seeing it with the boredom thing, but like, there are knitting retreats happening here in the mountains now. And they're like, they're starting as a week, but as a few days, but like this will be like week-long experiences. We're going to see people bricking their like phones on arrival. And that would be like a very commonplace thing where like, there will be like, like suddenly you show up at this hotel and like you have to like brick your phone. So that will happen too. All right.
We did it.
Last but not least, we got to
Fun
get
for
a
the
fun
year.
for the year.
All right.
All right. I'm going to go fast through these.
Great.
So we're going to go into a discovery scramble. So I've talked about this a lot. AI is going to bury small businesses. It's going to be very, very, very difficult for small brands to show up on AI. AI is just looking at like an enormous amount of aggregated data. And so if you're very small, it's like you're not taking up as much space of that aggregated data, right? But newsletters are surfacing more and more smaller brands because they know that people appreciate them. So we're going to see like AI flatten out the search, and then we're going to see indie brands like kind of really lean into newsletters as a new discovery engine. I'm not sure it'll be Substack. I think that, like other players are going to emerge from this, and creators are kind of creating their own versions of this, which is again the next trend. So media is mutating again. So old media has died, new media fractures. So new media I'm talking about is Substack. So Substack's newsletters and creator-led journalism like become powerhouses, but then they also don't. Or they splinter off, as there's so many people who defected from Substack this year because Substack took too much of their money time like audience from them. And so we're going to see many more people splintering and becoming kind of independent houses and bespoke like media homes, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I think these two are huge. I know it's under Fun for the Year and we're going quick, but I think just the larger kind of cultural impact around media and around AI, just making things that are really big, and us having an innate human desire for something that's more real, that's small. It feels like what vintage is. It's kind of the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're two. I mean, these are all pretty hard hitting. So we have high effort everything. Like, and I've mentioned effort a few times, but like it needed kind of its own zone of like, in the world of slop, I cannot say this loudly enough, how much work you put into the content that you create and like the humanness that you add, the depth, the story, the effort that you put in is going to be highly, highly valued. Its high production is no longer going to be synonymous with effort. It's high creativity. So it's not just like, stars and like high quality. Everything can be high quality now. It's really like not that hard. So it's really going to be like, how good is the creative? And then I think you're also going to see like a lot of like behind the scenes storytelling of like, this is how we made this. This is how we made this happen. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think this is just huge. And I think it like moving away from the kind of the polished production creative that we've done for a while, the kind of the slick production, into something that is more effort, more thoughtfulness, more ideas, creativity, 100%.
Right. And I think that's why the TV shows and like, I think there'll be much more of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to have AI like everywhere. And I agree with, I think with probably the masses that there's going to be some sort of bubble popping in the next year around AI. There's already a flattening happening with people, like the adoption rates of AI have plateaued in the last 2 months. But
Which is a fascinating stat.
Yeah, it is interesting. Well, I think that it's part of it is that like in order for AI to be very successful for your business, you have to change fundamentally from like every single process. Like, and if you do it that way and you really like, you don't just augment your existing process with AI, but you literally change the whole process to make it work for AI, like then AI becomes extremely powerful. But as we know, working in like large companies, the desire for anyone to actually change a process is very small. So I think that's yes is why this is happening.
And changing it is even harder than that.
Right. But I think we will see, like, there will be this popping, but at the same time, like, we're going to confront the fact that there are more people being laid off. I don't think it's just because of AI. Like, there's all sorts of things going on there. But
Yep.
we're going to see a new wave of solo entrepreneurs. Like, I think that, like, what we saw in COVID with entrepreneurship is going to be next year. Like, it's going to be everybody going out for themselves, powered by AI, so that they can turn their one. I still recommend doing a 2-person business because it's just more fun and easier. But
100%.
like turning their 2-person or 1-person shop into like what looks like a powerhouse firm of 50.
Yeah. Interesting. I would love to see that.
We're also going to see robot normalcy, but little robots, like not kind of humanoid helpers, not humanoids, but more like little helpers. I think the humanoids are coming, but I think the desire for anyone to kind of like test that out is still really slim. Like, I don't think anyone's like signing up for the delivery worker to like accidentally lose its mind and decapitate you. So what we're going to see is tiny kind of non-threatening robots. So a lot of like watering the plants that like, you know, you used to pay somebody to do in stores that like have plants, or we're going to have like grocery delivery, which is already commonplace in LA, or checking inventory, or guiding guests around hotels and like taking them to like different rooms that they want to see, running errands. Like, we're going to see that kind of all shape our idea of convenience and our expectations of convenience, both from a working perspective but also from a non-working perspective. And Waymo will just become so like standard, so boring, and doorstep robots become kind of very, very norm, and you would expect them and maybe even prefer them.
Right.
I
You don't talk to anybody.
I used to really like my like guy who would deliver my IVF drugs, but beyond that, like, I didn't have a great, you know, need to chat with the Amazon driver about my package. So, like, don't need that judgment. But then, and I also think maybe they wouldn't throw it on the porch, like in the same way that they did when I was living in LA. They're like, what?
Breakable? No. Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing this all around. Just, I mean, literally, I could probably open the door and there's probably some type of Waymo or robot moving the streets, Coco, whatever it might be.
But we live in like, well, you live in a coastal city, but like, so small town hasn't gotten this, and it will.
Right. Totally.
And then the last thing I have is that we're going to move from a reactive mindset to a recommended mindset. And this is something I've mentioned a few times, but I just feel like it's so changing the way that we think about purchasing that it's really important to bring up here. So like before, it would be like, you know, like the reality is that you're going to train AIs or LLMs and agents to like know everything about you. Right? Like they will be going into your email, they'll be going into your bank account, they'll be having conversations with you about therapy and marriage and things you like and telling you whether or not you should buy this belt or that belt. They'll like literally know everything about you, and they are going to anticipate instead of wait for you to ask. So like, it's going to say like, hey, I saw on the calendar that you have like a birthday party coming up for Harriet, and like Harriet's friend has a birthday party on Saturday. Would you like me to suggest some gifts for her? Like, and would you like me to order that for you? And you're going to be like, yes, I would like that. That sounds lovely. Or it's going to say, hey, I've noticed that on your wearable, like, you know, you've got a fever. Would you like me to order some medication for you so that you, like, I know that you're running out? Or the one that you bought last time was probably expired because that was 6 months ago when you got sick. And that is going to become extremely normal very, very quickly. And you're not going to really notice it until it's just like how you think.
Right. I think that 100% tracks. And I think all of these, like, I think there's cultural takeaways for people, for brands in all of these that are really quite important, quite impactful.
Yeah. So,
all right.
I hope you enjoyed your little
peek
into the future. A future that is not far away because, you know, we're moving at the speed of light, and the goal was to tell you about next year and not to tell you about, you know, 2020, like 2030. But like, you know, if you ever need that, I have some thoughts too. So.
Yeah. Should break out the crystal ball.
If you'd like us to give this talk to any of your team or personalize this for any of your team, we're obviously available to do this. And we're going to be on the road with this show next year.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of it. So yeah, let us know. And if you enjoyed this, give the algorithm a little love, share it with somebody. We'd love to hear what you think.
And hope you all have a lovely holiday season. and Happy New Year. And we'll see
Thank you.
you when we get back.
Stay curious.
Ciao. That was it for this episode of Good Thinking. Don't forget to tune in next week.
If you found this valuable, subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast app.
And don't forget to read on Substack for even more insights.
And if you really liked it, drop us a heart. We'd love to hear from you.
Ciao. Until next time.